that obviously he's not going to pay for the wall. But, you know, as the president said recently, flash forward,
Mexico's going to pay. I didn't say they're going to write me a check for 20 billion or 10 billion.
Or, as the president said before that, flashback.
They may even write us a check.
But now there's a crisis, and we need the wall, and the Democrats are obstructing what we need to do. The wall idea, and it's their fault there's a shutdown. Because as the president literally said when he was asked if the buck stopped with him,
the buck stops with everybody.
And nobody followed up with, but you're the president, man. But as Congressman, former admin of a conspiracy theory neo-Nazi Facebook page, veteran and SNL funny man Dan Crenshaw points out, in an alternate universe where Republicans still held the House, the government would be open, federal workers would have their paychecks, and Border Patrol would have the funding and tools they need. Just something to think about. Yes, just another great zinger from comedian Dan Crenshaw. The joke being that the shutdown started when Republicans still had control of both houses. After 2 years of having control of both houses and doing nothing. And when bipartisan bills to reopen the government and then negotiate on border security come up, human, if I'm being nice, being Mitch McConnell said, quote, "The president won't sign off." Something that does not need to happen for that to happen. But anyway, look, pal, who can tell who is to blame for manufacturing some sort of fake crisis? It's impossible. This concludes a really good prequel. So enough build-up. Let's finally get to the build-up to the president's first address from the Oval Office to the nation. Because once it was announced, hoo boy, did the networks and media have just a real tough time deciding what to do. Should they not air it? Something they chose to do in 2014 when Obama wanted to address the nation on immigration, a similar topic. Or maybe they should just air it live, even though the president is a compulsive liar who lies, especially about this kind of stuff. Or like, should we put it on a delay and fact check him? You know, give him Pinocchios or oopsie doopers or 4.5 Fibby Whoppers. The worst number of Fibby Whoppers one can get. CNN funny man Brian Stelter shared his concerns, asking, you know, he's the president, his words are important, even though the president doesn't even think his own words are important. But what do we do as the media? How do we cover Donald Trump? Which brings us to our new game show, What Year Is It? Buzz, 2015? Dang. Yes, the president wanted to say something to the nation, and so he sent out a bunch of fundraisers before and after his speech to get that money. And the media were scared of saying yes, because he's just gonna lie, and probably not say anything new or special, but rather just sort of recite his rally talking points. The media were also scared of saying no, though, because then he'd just call them fake news. Something he literally did mere hours before the network struggled with this decision. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, so just let 'em was their decision, as long as Mummy and Pooh-Paw get to hop in their one-seater to give everyone a polite talking to afterwards. And the result was absolutely nothing new, and just a series of provable lies and a few descriptions of gruesome murders. But that's not fair, all right? And if we're anything at Cody's Shody, it's fair, and it's balanced, and it's TM, and it's C, and it's R. So let's let him speak for himself.
Tonight, I am speaking to you.
Okay. Speaking, fun, all right. What else does the president have to, actually one more time.
Tonight, I am speaking to you.
Okay. What else does the president have to say?
Growing humanitarian and security crisis.
Okay, well, before we move on, it's important to understand what the president means by humanitarian. Just this morning, he tweeted a lot and said this was a humanitarian crisis again. So briefly, the word humanitarian as understood by Donald J. Trump. In his old vlog that he deleted, but someone still has, the president said he should invade Libya. And real quick tangent, so unlike me, I know. We should invade Libya is something Trump repeatedly claimed he never said at Republican debates. And nobody was able to show it to him, to his face, and point to his face, with a video of his face and illustrate to his face that he was lying. Now, there's a long, ever-growing list of his lies. He's a liar. And at this point, you can call him one, instead of twisting in the wind, struggling how to report and fact-check him. How about instead of, Donald Trump claims X, and then you click on the article, and it says Donald Trump claimed X this morning, but this statement is misleading and potentially false. We are unsure where he got this information, and we have thus given the president 4.5 goopsie dupes, the worst number of goopsie dupes one can receive. How about instead of that, your headline says, Donald Trump, a compulsive liar, lied about X. You think he's going to sue you for calling him a liar, something that he is easily and frequently proven to be? God, you're useless. Anyway, back to his easily verifiable lie that he never said we should go into Libya. He actually did say it. And he said we should go in on a humanitarian basis. And when we're done saving the people, we should take half of their oil as payment for the humanitarian crisis. You know how the promotion of human welfare usually involves payment of a precious resource by a devastated nation in chaos? Yeah, you know. But surely the president, a compulsive liar and dumb man, cares about humanitarian crises and even knows what those words mean. Surely morphing build a wall to keep out the Mexican rapists into build a wall to keep out the asylum-seeking families is indicative of a humanitarian. And apropos of nothing, here's a news. The president, a liar, whose company stole money from a child cancer charity, who cut off his nephew's desperately needed health care out of spite, who supports torture and taking out terrorists' families, who seems to be super cool with helping to exacerbate the humanitarian crisis in Yemen, who knowingly lies about climate change despite, here's some news, the oceans are warming 40% faster than originally thought, who shut down the government in order to blame other people, causing hundreds of thousands of furloughs, damaging our national parks, causing problems for those on food assistance, stopping the FDA from inspecting food weeks after the country's lettuce was found to be contaminated, a man who, in order to pay for the wall to keep out asylum-seeking families, or rapists, it's unclear, is considering taking money from disaster relief, something we've needed more and more of due to that climate change I just mentioned. Well, he was asked by Chuck Schumer, seen here disappointed that you got home after curfew, you're using people as leverage. Why won't you open the government and stop hurting people? And the humanitarian answered, because then you won't give me what I want.
We have a president that doesn't give a damn about inconveniencing people.
But anywho, the president is concerned. And so finally, we're here. And here is some news. Border crisis! Okay, stop. Don't worry, I'm not gonna make you read all that. What do I think you are, a president? But according to the president and his speech, there is a border crisis, which is somehow also the cause of the opioid crisis. Damn you immigrants and your being pharmaceutical companies. Now, I'm not going to show you his actual speech because, as I said, the networks got duped into thinking the president, a dumb man and liar, had anything new to say. But they ended up just airing one of his bizarre rallies. But like, the presidential version. Even the president chimed in with his own review, saying, cute presidential address, might delete later. But no, there was nothing new. So, in regards to the border crisis and the president's anecdotal tales of gruesome murders, the truth is, legal and illegal immigrants commit fewer crimes than American citizens. Immigration from the country allegedly sending us their rapists has dropped for more than a decade. The number of family units from Central America apprehended at the border has gone up very recently to reach 2014 numbers, but even that number is a significant decline from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. But anyway, the crisis, sorry. So what I was saying, crisis-wise, there is none. Okay, so maybe it's not a crisis. You know, maybe it's not an emergency. But surely a wall would help, because as the president likes to say, 90% of heroin comes over the border. But he doesn't say the part about how most of it comes through ports of entry, just like migrants. So a wall would actually be useless. Planes go over walls